Hi, I'm Matt Elfson, founder and CEO of Survive It, and welcome to Fearless Friday. Today I'm going to talk about some common mistakes patients make. Not that it's any fault of the patient. We all have good intentions. After all, it's our life at stake. But we just are not ever prepared to receive a cancer diagnosis. And by the time we become prepared, far too often it's just too late. Many of you, I'm sure, are aware of all the great progress our industry has made in cancer research. It truly is fascinating, and there are more and more treatment options available every year. We should all be very grateful of that. I know I am. However, because of what I do for a living in talking to patients and survivors every day, my celebration oftentimes gets very short-lived. We all know that cancer is very complex, but what few of us know going into a cancer diagnosis is that the delivery of cancer care is also very complex. And this complexity of policies and regulations, all of which were initially developed for the safety of the patient and all in good intent, really have made it really difficult today for the patient. The delivery of cancer care in America really needs a radical change. Today's system is unable to keep up with new research advancements, and so despite of all these great advancements, still over 1,600 men, women, and children die of cancer every single day. Every day. That's the equivalent of 7 jumbo jets full of passengers crashing to the ground every single day. It's really quite unbelievable that this is acceptable to Americans. But this will have to be for another talk. It'll take a unified effort to provide a more effective model for the delivery of cancer care. Patients, families, and employers deserve much better care and outcomes than we currently receive. And Survive It believes that patient expectations, technology advancements, and new policy will drive the changes needed. And as hard as Survive It and others are working to drive positive change, unfortunately it just will never be soon enough. But for today, let's talk about some common assumptions new patients make. Number 1. The local cancer center is just as equipped as any other. They all have access to the same technology and treatment options. That assumption is false. In the U.S., there are over 4,000 cancer centers, and only 62 of those are NCI-designated academic research centers practicing precision medicine. Only 15% of cancer patients are diagnosed and treated at one of these 62 centers. Now that means that 85% of cancer patients are being treated at community cancer centers. And it's not that community cancer centers don't have good people doing good work, they do. It's just that a community cancer center may see around 2,000 or less patients per year, and a large NCI-designated academic research center sees over 100,000 patients per year. With those numbers of patients, the big centers can afford more advanced, specialized equipment, and they just have more tools in their toolbox. Which is why a second opinion at one of these cancer centers is so important. Assumption number 2. My local oncologist knows just as much as any other oncologist. He's really smart. That's doubtful. Not doubtful that he's really smart, but that he knows just as much as any other oncologist. Local or community cancer centers have general oncologists, and they see patients of every cancer type, breast, lung, liver, whatever it is. When the patient walks in the door, they see them. They're not specialized in a specific type of cancer like the large academic research centers are, and most aren't practicing precision medicine. It's virtually impossible for them to keep up with research on all cancer types. They work hard, they do their best, but they don't know what they don't know. And sometimes oncologists who are specialized in a specific type of cancer and see a lot more patients with that type of cancer, they just have more experience. And believe me, when things go bad, you're going to want someone with that kind of experience. With me, for example, I have a second opinion doctor established at an NCI academic research center that specializes in my type of cancer. But I receive most of my care at my local community cancer center. So I have the best of both worlds. When things are under control, I receive my cancer care close to home. And when things go bad, I travel to my second opinion doctor to help us figure out our next steps. And he collaborates with my local community cancer center oncologist who delivers that treatment strategy to me. Now this system may take a little bit of coordinating at the start, but it works very well. Assumption number 3. I need to begin treatments immediately. I'll do some research later if this treatment doesn't work. False. Bad choice. Many patients that begin treatments immediately without a qualified second opinion are not receiving the best possible treatment for them, especially if they haven't had comprehensive genomic sequencing performed on their biopsy tissue. Also, by starting on another treatment, they may have just disqualified themselves from a better option offered in a clinical trial, because some trials have enrollment requirements that are based on previous treatments. Assumption number 4. I don't need a second opinion. My local oncologist already knows everything. Well, that's false also. Although a lot of people think that, it's false. The first thing every late-stage cancer patient should do is get a qualified second opinion at an academic research cancer center specializing in their specific type of cancer. Your local oncologist may be a very smart and very nice person, but believe me, they don't know everything. Even the best cancer researchers in the world, and I know some of these people, and these are researchers that don't see any patients. All they do is research. They're finding it very difficult to keep up with new breakthroughs. A qualified second opinion is worth every penny you spend. Assumption number 5. My tissue was tested for 3 gene mutations. I don't need any further testing. That's false. Many cancer centers only test biopsy tissue for the gene mutations they can treat at their cancer center, which is usually between 5 and 10 gene mutations. And every late-stage cancer patient should have a comprehensive genomic sequencing test performed on their biopsy tissue, which currently tests for around 320 gene mutations. Now, why is that important? Well, if every oncologist only tested for gene mutations we already know how to treat, how will we ever advance? How will we discover new mutations? We won't. And if your doctor only tests for a few gene mutations and you happen to have one that's somewhat rare, they won't find it. And that may limit the treatment options available to you, because there might be a great option for you available in a clinical trial, but you just won't know about it. Don't accept stopping short of a complete diagnosis of your cancer. This is your life. Demand better. Assumption number 6. Clinical trials are only a last resort. I don't need to think about that yet. Well, this couldn't be further from the truth. Some of the best treatment options can be found in a clinical trial. And today's clinical trials are safe, and they allow patients to receive tomorrow's medicines today when you need them. Cancer drugs take many years to obtain FDA approval, and through a clinical trial you don't have to wait. You can gain access to life-saving medicines today. I've been on 2 clinical trials, and I wouldn't hesitate 1 second to enroll in another. Assumption number 7. It's a good thing I have a lot of friends. I'm getting good advice from them. That's very doubtful. If you're like me, I'm sure you've already received a lot of advice from people who have never had cancer. And although they love you and their intentions are good, more often than not, people who have never had cancer offer very poor advice. Patients should talk to as many long-term survivors with his or her specific cancer as soon as possible. And patients can learn a lot from those who have successfully traveled this path. If you would like to connect with a long-term survivor who is sharing information about living successfully with cancer, check out our Survive It community through the link provided below. We want you to know that if you've been affected by cancer, Survive It is your organization. We are survivors helping patients. If you have any questions or need any information regarding living with cancer, please contact us anytime for any reason at info@surviveit.org, and we'll be there to help you. We're all in on this together, and together we will create a world free from the fear of cancer. I'm Matt Ellefson, and until next time, stay strong and live fearless.